So at this defining moment of the second part of our diplomatic relations, when the Indian community and the Friends of India have joined here to rejoice, sir, let me say a few words about the community, as I say, sir. This community, sir, is vibrant and growing. We have here Indian investors who have invested in key sectors, in restaurants. We have Indian students, we have Indian professionals, Indian working in third country MNCs, and also Indian who have settled here and working in various capacities. Also, what we are achieving, sir, with the Friends of India, among them we have businessmen, Serbian, who are doing business with India in the tractor sector, in other key areas, pharmaceuticals, movie productions that are helping us. Currently we have a movie production team here. We also have others on the cultural spectrum. Those are helping us with the yoga, sir, with the Gandhi, people who have been to Indian spiritual places more than any Indian that has been to Kumbh Mela, Indian dances. So every spectrum of the economic and cultural field is covered here, sir. They're eagerly waiting to hear your views, sir, with these words, and to thank you again, sir, and request to address the community.
Good evening. It's a great pleasure to be with all of you, and thank you, Ambassador, for getting together the Friends of India. It's been a long day, but I should tell you that looking at all of you, I still feel a lot of energy to carry on. And I want to begin by saying that actually I feel bad that, you know, it has been 30 years since a foreign minister has come to this country. Somewhere, you know, we took each other, we have a very comfortable relationship, India and Serbia. But sometimes when you have a lot of comfort, you tend to take things for granted. So I was very happy. I've been foreign minister all of 4 months. Within maybe a few weeks of my taking over, my Serbian counterpart reached out to me. He invited me and said that I hope when you start traveling, you make up for lost time and come here quickly. And I promised him I would. Then we spoke on the phone, and then we met a few weeks ago in Baku on the sidelines of the Non-Aligned Summit. So here I am, and I'm really very happy I came, because the first thing I want to tell all of you is that probably, I mean, not just in my tenure as foreign minister, but a longer tenure I had as foreign secretary and as a diplomat, I have very rarely come across the sense of warmth and friendship and understanding and a very intuitive support that I've experienced today and yesterday. So often when we do our professional discussions, we get into issues, and you know, it was so easy to agree that a lot of our time was actually spent in sort of very warm pleasantries and discussions about how we could support each other. So what I want to do today is very briefly, because all of you here are supporters of the relationship, well-wishers. You are also in many ways the advocates of this relationship. So I want to share with you where we are so that I think in the days to come, you would all be able to make the case for the relationship in a more forceful and enthusiastic way. From our perspective, I would say history is a very positive asset. Today, between my various programs, I went and paid my respects to the resting place of Marshal Tito. I think going there in many ways was very evocative of a good shared past that we have. I was very warmly received. My last meeting before coming here was with President Vučić. He was very generous with his time, even though he's just come back from a trip abroad. I had 2 sets of meetings with the foreign minister. Yesterday, we signed a defense agreement with Defense Minister Bulin, which would allow us to pick up on our, again, traditional defense cooperation relationship. My first meeting, of course, was with the President of the National Assembly, and that was important because actually our parliamentary contacts have been very strong. Some of you would be aware that when we had the International Parliamentary Union's General Assembly here, the Speaker of the Indian Parliament had come. Last year, the Vice President of India, who is Chairman of the Upper House, was also here. So on the political side, I think you are seeing a lot of exchanges. To me, the turning point was when President Vučić, as Prime Minister, went to India 2 years ago for the Vibrant Gujarat Summit. And I think since then, that period which the ambassador spoke about, I feel we have started to make up for lost time, and I'm very hopeful that we can keep up this momentum in the years to come. Now, while exchanges or visits are useful or necessary, but somewhere I think a kind of a bonding of interests is also very important. And India and Serbia have actually always seen the world in a very independent manner. That was part of our legacy from the non-aligned days. And we support each other in issues of core interest to each country. We have always been very clear and very strong in support of Serbia's sovereignty and territorial integrity. We have always taken a very clear position when it came to any issue concerning Kosovo. And Serbia too has always shown understanding of our interest and concerns which pertain to Jammu and Kashmir. And in fact, today the Serbian foreign minister publicly stated that he wanted to make it very clear that they consider this an internal matter of India. So you have a very good political foundation. But having said that, political foundations are not always enough to keep a relationship moving. And I have seen through experience that it's very important to have a business sort of component in the relationship. So I'm very pleased that many of you here have a contribution to make on the business side. Now, when it comes to the business side, I think from what I understand, Serbia has really done very well in the last few years. They've gone up. Today, in fact, I was comparing with President Vučić the ease of doing business rankings. I said we moved from 142 to 63. And he said they moved from 98 to 40, 44 or 45. And ease of doing business at the end of the day is something which all business people recognize. They can see it and smell it. So it's good both countries are moving in a very positive trajectory where business is concerned. Though I have never lived here, I have lived close by. I spent 25 years ago, I was posted in Budapest, so I took some interest, and I've actually dealt with this region in the foreign ministry. So I've taken some interest in the past, and I find that today Indian companies are much more visible, much more sort of present in the Serbian economy, and I would like to appreciate all those who have made that decision. And to invest abroad is a great act of trust in that society. And the fact that whether it is today agricultural equipment or IT parks, or whether it is consumables of various kinds, it is a very positive development, and we are beginning to see some signs of Serbian business investment and activity in India as well. And one of my messages was really to encourage that. A related part of that, of course, is the societal contacts, the people-to-people relationships that we have. And I deeply appreciate the fact that Serbia actually allows Indians to come today without visas. It is already beginning to show in increased tourism numbers. So I think it would be a good idea to open a hotel here So I'm looking very pointedly in front of me. And there was interest in developing air connections as well. I can see in many other parts of India, as incomes go up in India, there's a much greater interest in tourism. And I'm sure that would be reflected in Serbia as well. And related to tourism, of course, is the movie industry. The more movies you see about foreign countries, the more you want to go there. And I was explaining to our Serbian friends that people of my generation grew up watching Hindi movies with a Switzerland scene, and we always believed that Switzerland was heaven on earth as a result. So I'm sure if enough movies are shot here, it will show up in tourism numbers, and I'm sure if there are enough tourism numbers, it will show up in the hospitality industry as well. I'd also like to say a few words about people who have invested their lives and given their time to cultural matters, because whenever I go abroad, I'm actually hugely impressed by the level of scholarship that I meet on India, the amazing interest that people take about different aspects of Indian culture. And I feel it's very important today that we support those activities. So I want to assure you, as Foreign Minister, that remains very high in our priorities. And we are associated with an organization called the Indian Council of Cultural Relations. And we work with them, and we expect actually to do very much more on cultural activities than we have done in the past, whether it is performing arts, whether it's yoga, whether it's academic scholarship on India, because I do believe that building deep strengths on understanding in India, in other societies, is a very important part of the relationship. So overall, as I said, it's been, we've been out since the morning, but it's been really a very, very productive day. And I will be leaving tomorrow for some other country, but I'm truly impressed by the very, very positive feelings here. Today actually the President told me, he said, walk around in Belgrade, any part of Serbia, you will only hear good things about India. I know in my heart that that's actually, if anything, an understatement. So I go back very convinced of the strength of this relationship. And I can assure you that the next 30 years will not be like the last 30 years. You will see much more activity. You will see a much stronger relationship. But I would say all of that is only possible if people work at it. It doesn't, good sentiments don't translate into results by themselves. And when I say work at it, yes, people like us have to work at it, but more than that, we need the support of people like you. And that is why I'm so happy that all of you have gathered here. So once again, I really thank you for coming today. I'll take you from that one.